Well, welcome everybody. We'll just give a moment to let people get in and get their sound right. And I believe we automatically mute everybody, but just in case, double check that you're muted. And we love it when you let us know where you are. So in the comments as you're coming in, let us know where you are in the planet. And if this is your first time doing Deep Cycle, or if you've never even heard of it before and somebody just said, come, let us know. Oh, we're moving so fast. Switzerland, I can't even read it. It's so fast. Montreal, we got lots of Canada, US, Germany, Toronto, Mexico, Poland, first time, South Africa. What else here? So fast. Germany, Texas, Carlsbad, the UK, Bogota, Colombia, Minnesota. Lots of first timers here. Second time. This is so great. I can see that people are still filing in, so I'm just going to keep giving it a moment. Tranimo, I don't know where that is. Portugal, Sutton, UK, Newby, Colombia. I was just down in Colombia in the Cartagena area. It was amazing. Texas, California, Peru, Estonia, Vancouver Island, New Zealand. We've got people from all over the place. New Zealand, you must be up so early. This is so early for you. Jamaica, UK, Costa Rica, Denver, Pennsylvania, Mexico City, Bend, Oregon, Ohio, Norway, Egypt. Wow, we really are hitting a lot of,
Peru.
we've got
That's impressive.
Sweden, yeah, Cologne, Germany, UK, Hungary. Sorry if I missed some in the beginning. Peru, Germany, Italy. Wow, I'm so impressed. All right. And people are still just filing in the Netherlands, Vancouver Island, more New Zealand. How early is it in New Zealand? It must be like just barely the crack of dawn. But I guess it's more light there for you than us up here in Canada. 7 a.m. Okay, not so bad. What else do we have here? Netherlands, St. Louis, Ibiza, the US, Hawaii. Oh, it's early for you too. I guess not too early. 7 a.m. for you as well, but the next day in New Zealand. Singapore. Nice. All right. Well, so for those of you that I have not met, sorry, my Zoom is asking me to switch languages. Let me just not switch languages. Okay, so for those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Jana Romer, and it is such a joy and a pleasure to share with you in this way. As many of you know, I love nerding out on the science behind Healy and the opportunity to have a conversation with Jan, the creator of the Deep Cycle Protocol. I was like a giddy little kid studying and preparing myself for this. So thank you so much, Jan, for coming on and really for creating the protocol in the beginning and for your curiosity that continues to ask the questions. It is such a gift to have you here. Before we start, I also want to acknowledge Meta. Meta is here with us. We're going to meet her at the end if you haven't met her yet. It was actually Olive in our smaller community asked a question about Deep Cycle, and Meta said, well, let's do it. And then I was like, wait a second, if you're going to do this, I would love to lead some embodiment. And she was like, great, let's do it. And then we decided to open up to the larger community. And all of a sudden we have over 700 people stepping towards doing Deep Cycle together. So in the chat quickly, who here is a guest who has never had a Healy before, but you were invited by somebody to come and tune into this call? Anybody? You can put a 1 in the chat if you're a guest. Yes, we do have some guests here. Wonderful. Well, you're in for a treat. We're going to nerd out. Yes, this is wonderful. So we're going to nerd out. We love things, frequency, electromagnetism, quantum, and just the absolute astonishing nature of the universe. So before I begin, yes, please make sure that you are muted. And I have questions that were in our Circle community space, and I'm going to save those to the end. We'll kind of do a little bit of a rapid fire question right at the end. So Jan, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So what I just want to take this back to the roots. And when one of the videos that I was listening with you, you mentioned that you were there in the very beginning when TimeWaver was just being conceived and created, and your path came from like IT into this world. What was the thing? What was the thing that got you to switch that this then became your focus?
Well, the long story short, I'll try it. Basically, I've said it sometimes, but you asked. So this started when I was 12 years old, 10, 12 years old, actually. And I looked around myself and I thought, where are we coming from? Where are we going? What's the universe? Why are we here? And nobody could answer me, so most of my life was a long search for knowledge and understanding of our environment and who we are and what we are, these big questions. And I didn't find it anywhere. So I went through, I remember I was 16, 17. I was in a folk high school, as we call it in Norway, for a year, boarding school type thing. I think I read 100 books on parapsychology and all that stuff because I knew I couldn't find in general physics the answers to my questions. So I had to search outside. And then fast forward 40 years, in the 40s, I had been, my life had been, how do you say, governed by helping people. If somebody asked me for help, I just said yes. I didn't have any boundaries for this. I just said yes. And that's how I ended up in the computer industry. And my brother, he was fascinated about the computer industry, and he wanted me to help him out because I had some skills. And we started off very early, and I was presenting multimedia, streaming videos and so forth in 1989 for 200 Press without a paper, because I was doing the lecture from a computer. We had tailored everything. Computer failed, so I had to use my hands. I didn't have any paper or computer. But anyway, that's a long. In 1994, we opened the Norwegian Virtual Reality Center. So we were doing 3D virtual reality in 1994. And so innovation and system development and things that was interesting for me. But after many years, I found out, what is my main interest, and that's people. So that's why, adding to the story, I had my mother die of cancer, my father got cancer, my brother got cancer, and I saw tons of people getting conventional treatment that didn't work. So I knew this was what I wanted to do. I want to get out of the money stuff, and started studying. So actually, I started working with frequencies actively in 2008, and that's 4 or 5 years before TimeWaver. So we were using different systems, and Nu and I were very close, Nu and Nina, as many of you know. When we saw TimeWaver Medical, which was an informational medical system, and you have the small quantum processor or random event generator in Healy, which is a miniature copy of the big machine, TimeWaver Medical, now called TimeWaver Pro. And we found out that we liked the device, we liked the technology, we liked the intelligence, but it didn't have frequency. So we talked with Marcus, the founder of TimeWaver, and said, it's all great, but we need to have our frequencies here. We're working with frequency. We need physical input to the people, to work with the body, to work with energies. And that's how the story started. So yeah, I told Marcus once that in 1 year, I had 150 hours, 150 days of beta testing of his device. So he should actually, he should pay me. Anyway, so we were in it from the start. And yes, before the start, and we pretty much influenced the development. And we learned how to use the protocols, or actually there were no protocols. We learned how to use the system. And in 2015, I was in having a lecture for the Time Warrior people. And I had been thinking that the 5 years, or actually 8 years, we've spent learning how to use it and do it professionally. It would take forever for a therapist. So I made 12 programs. So basically, they could just run the program. If they had a lung issue, you could run the lungs, etc. And as you know, that was the first version of Deep Cycle that was later ported to Healy. That was a long story, short, not so short.
I'm sure that's like years and years trying to compact it into a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's how it is.
So anybody who's totally new to this environment, I want to give you a really high level summary of what we're doing here. When we look at like cells and then molecules, and then keep going deeper into the atom and then the subatomic particles, and then you keep trying to look even deeper than that, and all they find is space. But what's in that space is information and energy. And what these brilliant minds have figured out is that if you can influence the energy in that space, what comes out of that space or what comes into form will change. And so I really love one of the stories that you shared coming from a book that you had recommended in one of the videos that we recommended watching before this. You said that in studies with some people that had multiple personality disorder, or however it's properly named today, when the different personalities came online, their physical structure changes. So scars even had disappeared in some situations. And so
eye color.
Really, yeah, eye color. Yes, exactly. So that really illustrates the power of what is possible when we change the underlying energy of a person, and how much transformation can come into place. So Jan, I also study with Dr. Joe Dispenza quite a bit. And what I love about his work is he's kind of focused on proving the impossible to be possible. And they're showing results with people with cancer or chronic pain or a whole bunch of stuff in 7 days by changing their electromagnetics. And last time I was with him, which was just in December, he said that the cells of a human body, or a mammal, I guess, cells are 100 times more receptive to electromagnetism, or the electromagnetic field, than they are to the chemical field. And I was wondering if you could just speak to the depth of how we can, like, why working with the electromagnetic field. I know you covered this quite a bit, but like that shift in thinking from chemical to the electromagnetic field and what's possible.
Yeah, as you say, the energy you're talking about, I prefer calling it informational energy, because you have this bunch of people. I'm a generalist, so you have this bunch of people talking about information and some esoteric type of energies, which we cannot really prove. And then you have the people talking about energy. But if you look into it, and when you work with it for a long time, you understand there is no energy without information, and there is no information without energy. So I like the term informational energy. And from our science, as you see in my PowerPoints and so on, we literally know nothing. It's 97% of the universe is some sort of dark energy or dark matter or something, and there are some theories everybody's running around with it. Some have very promising theories on what of this is, but in fact we don't know nothing about it. We just have theories, and we can observe some effects, but cannot touch and feel it. We don't know what it is. However, you see me now, that's electromagnetic, that's light. So all electromagnetism is light. And and it's just visual light or non-visual light. So you can think about this, all these waves of lights you can see, all these waves are just as physical that you don't see. So what we know from our universe is that there is nothing that is not electromagnetic. So, and when you talk about energy, we can talk about a lot of esoteric energies, but if you measure the meridian system, there is currents, electric currents going in the body. And all cells have electric potential. So there's a charge in the cells, and of course the cells vibrate, they send out electromagnetic signals. So our physical reality is best described as electromagnetic reality. When we get different science in 100 years, maybe we call it something else, but existing science tells us what we know best is electromagnetism. Everything we do is electromagnetic, and the control system for your body is electromagnetic. So when I talk to you, there is a pressure wave going into the air. The air vibrates and it goes to the hammer that translates to the electric signal. And you believe you hear a sound, but you hear the electric signal. If it's a deep sound, you can feel the vibration in the body. It's like a physical thing. But when you see me, it's the light coming in, electromagnetic signal coming in, being transferred to a picture to the brain electromagnetically. When you start being excited, you send electric signal to the hormone system to produce hormones and so forth. So it's like Joe says, the chemistry doesn't come first, it's electromagnetic. So we are electromagnetic beings, and yeah, everything around you is electromagnetic. If you can't touch it, if you can't feel it, it's probably not there or so forth, but anything we can touch or feel is electromagnetic. So that's the controller. We have 5 different circuits in the body, which distribute electric signals and waves. Anyway, I can take off on this. As you know, I'm a nerd.
I'm a nerd too. I feel like you're a soul sibling on some level. So that you just said there's 5 systems that move electromagnetism. Are you able to summarize those quickly?
Yeah, we can say, we don't need to put a fixed number on it because probably, but 5 ways of looking at it. You have the fascia and the connecting points, popularly called meridians, because if you look at the meridians, like Dr. James Oschman, there is a good book he wrote, a study. He was a student of Albert Szent-Györgyi, the guy who synthesized vitamin C. But anyway, James Oschman is getting older. He wrote about the living matrix. So when you touch a point here, you touch the fascia, which is the connective tissue around all organs, around all systems in the body. And the fascia is piezoelectric. So it means when you press it, there's a current going. So one of the channels are the fascia and the meridian systems, because the meridian systems, they pass through the fascia. And this fascia goes through the organs, around the organs, but there are tubulars made of the same stuff, piezoelectric, collagen-based stuff, going into the cell, through the cell membrane, like channels, going into the mitochondria, all the way into the DNA. So that's one major system for electric currents. And then, of course, you have the blood, the closed electric biological circuit, and the liquids in the body, which are ion transfer. And that means when you heard about electrolytes, because if you drink water and it doesn't contain, if it's just pure water and your body were 100% pure water, you would be dead. And that's the simple reason for this, is that the charged particles called electrolytes, minerals normally when you take them, when they dissolve into two different molecules, there are ions, different charges. So the electrons can jump from ion to ion. That's ion transfer. So all the liquids of the body transfer ions. And that's why when you're in a hospital and presumably they say, oh, the doctor says you're dead. Why do they say you're dead? Well, it's because the electric signal from your heart is gone and the electric signal from your brain is gone. So even the sorry doctors, but even the traditional doctors who are focused on biochemistry and pharmacy and operations, they use all kind of electromagnetic devices, and they determine if you're alive or not, whether you're electromagnetic or not. So I don't know if I answered your question, because I lost myself a little bit here.
Yeah, you were talking about the 5 different, the five different
5 systems. Okay, we have 2 of them. I'll try to make it less shorter. Anyway, so you have the nerval system. Obviously, that's a digital signal going in, on and off, like a computer. And then you have around the nerves, the perinerval system, which is the analog systems, like the current from Healy, which is the analog system. And there you have microcurrents going, signaling growth, repair of tissue, and so forth. And that's microcurrents. So that's why I always recommend people to have a low setting on Healy, make sure there's a good contact and all that stuff, but be close to the natural transport system of the body. Um, and then obviously you have the resonance of water, which is when you start sending a vibration, it will make a chain reaction. And as maybe you know, if you do something to one cell in the body, all of the body knows it simultaneously. So it knows it quicker than an electric signal can pass. How is that possible? Yeah, that's a good book, The Body Electric. Anyway, there is fields. So short explanation of electromagnetism. If there is a current going from A to B, it's a DC current. In the Healy, it's going back and forth, so it's AC. There's always a 90-degree electromagnetic field, pulsed field. So all the organs and all the cells that send out pulsed field. That's the other electromagnetic communication system, and there are more. I think we covered most of it.
That's amazing. Actually, I think it's a perfect time. One of the questions that somebody sent in, they said, is the Meg Healy a pulsed electromagnetic field device?
Well, I don't have seen the inside, but I suspect it is, and that's what I've been told.
That's even told. Okay, yeah, perfect.
So,
There's been some debate in the community whether it is or not, but yeah, wonderful. Okay, so having said all of that, we're specifically working with the deep cycle. And when I started to dive in and nerd out on the deep cycle, there are frequencies in this set that are not available in TimeWaver or in any other Healy programs. And you call them, hold on, I got the name for them, the universal harmonic field list. And these are frequencies that you have gathered over a decade of study and research. Would you tell us a little bit more about these frequencies? They sound very fascinating.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them. Basically, it's if you read the document and you're free to share it, so Nature is My Religion.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the PDF, so if the community wants to read it, I suggest they do.
I'll share it with you all.
People think it's mostly philosophical thing. You know, it's my philosophical understanding of things, but it's more than philosophical. It's actual. You can take it for actual. So it's an actual thing. So when I say go out and emerge into nature, touch the trees, touch the ground, touch the sun, and so forth, all of these systems, they are of course electromagnetic transponders, receivers, and senders. So when you touch, the ground, you get a small microcurrent through your body. We call it grounding. It's a very cheap way of getting microcurrents. So you can also have it in, we've been selling earthing sheets and we still sell them, so people can sleep on it. But anyway, Earth has its own frequency. And around the Earth, you have the Schumann resonance, which is 7.83 hertz, and harmonics. Harmonics is ba, 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 ba. It's the same frequency in different aspects. So, and we are genetically and epigenetically, we are built to work with these frequencies. So if you are an astronaut and you go out of the atmosphere and get away from Earth, you get away from the Earth frequencies. Among them is 7.83 hertz. Just we don't need to mention tons of frequencies. But anyway, so the Russians and NASA and everybody in the space industry, they know this. So they bring a small resonator. I have one here, by the way, for Schumann resonance. So the body knows where it is, when to wake up, how the brain waves should be, the hormone regulation, the circadian cycle. All of this depends on frequency. So these frequencies are, I'll try to make it shorter again, are frequencies that are present in nature, present around Earth. It's present. There will be, this list doesn't stop. So there will be planetary frequencies and so forth. And there's some universal frequencies that works on many different modalities, like 40 hertz. It works perfectly in vibrational mode. It works perfectly as a sound electromagnetically and as a PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field. So basically, it's frequencies of Earth, the primary frequency, resonant frequencies of the body, and the nature around us. I think that's.
Yeah, so in the first of the two videos that you asked us to watch was when you talked about nature, and you talked about modulation. You talked about how, I'm going to try and summarize it as quickly as possible.
Good.
So modulation, he was explaining, is like, when you turn on the radio, if anybody still listens to radios, you dial into 108 FM. You're not actually listening to 108 FM. 108 FM is a carrier channel that the smaller frequencies, or the more refined frequencies, travel through, which allows you to hear the voice and the piano and the saxophone and all the sounds within that. So when you were talking about that, I got really curious. When we are, receiving solar frequency, like heightened solar frequency, let's say with like solar flares or geomagnetic storms, is that the main current? And then there's like, that's what's getting modulated, and then we're getting other little frequencies within that, or what is the differentiation between the modulation and then the other frequencies?
Let me generalize a little bit. There
Okay.
is no waves of frequency that doesn't have some modulation. If you are very technical, you would say also modulation is a radio thing or so forth. But let's just say that you go into a room, and your brain sends out brain waves, frequencies, PEM field. Your heart sends out the strongest field, and your emotions, they are stored in the body. So the emotions is not out there, it's in your body. And these emotions, they influence the frequencies you send out. They modulate the frequencies. So when you get into this room, you can immediately, you should turn around and you look at this person and think, oh, this person there's something wrong with this person, or I like this one, I want to talk with him or her. You just instantly know it. How do you think you instantly know it? I think it's a very simple explanation, because you're getting their frequencies, and you're sending out their frequencies, and their frequencies are influenced by how they are, what they feel, how they think. So they're sending out a signal. Same thing is, you talked about the sun. Yes, it's a big influence on us, of course. It's a big influence in all ways. But I think the consciousness of all living beings, probably dead as well, but it doesn't matter, influence let's say that, take the Schumann resonance. I'll tell you about this short experience. Schumann resonance is a result of thousands of lightnings going into Earth every second. And that generates a standing wave, which has the main resonance in 7.83 hertz. When they did some research many years ago, they placed out several hundred random event generators, a little bit similar to what's in the helium. And they measured random numbers. Random numbers means that should be lotto, should be totally random, should be not possible to find any patterns. And so it is. However, when something big in the world happens and a lot of people are engaged in it, like when Obama was becoming a president, or Princess Diana died, or any event that involved many thousand, maybe million people, these random numbers were not random anymore. Suddenly, 200 generators around the world started giving you patterns. How can it be that you could give them the patterns? Yeah, well, because you're modulating the frequencies around the Earth. And the sun modulates the frequencies, you modulate the frequencies, the technology modulate the frequencies, the trees and nature modulate the frequencies. So when you dig into nature, find yourself far away from technology, and dig into the waters, the green, the sun, the trees, you are being modulated by natural frequencies that are in resonance, that sing the same tunes as you do in your nature, because we are nature. There is no difference between us and the others. We just think so. And that's the problem of modern lifestyle, because you sit inside a room with the electric grid in one frequency, you have monitors with some frequencies, and you have all this stuff, and you have the mobiles, you have the Wi-Fi's, all that shit. And all of these frequencies are not made to be harmonic with us. They're not made to resonate with us. Well, they're made to resonate so we can hear them, but Yeah, you understand. Well, a long answer again.
I love it. No, I don't know if you saw the chat. Our community is popping off. They're loving this. So then the frequencies that are the special frequencies, they're helping us to attune to that greater nature. When I was writing a description, I said, this deep cycle is between your inner nature and creator nature and the harmonization of the two, right? Would you say that's accurate for deep cycle?
No, because I'm always guy for to be precise. When you see the creator's nature and your nature, you're already off track because there is no creator outside of you. Actually, it's everywhere. You are a
Right.
creator. I'm a creator. Everybody's created. So there's no separation. So you have to ask me the question again because I disagree in the startup.
So it's attuning us
Rephrase.
more to our nature, like to the creator nature within then.
Yeah, yeah, you can say that. And it's not just about, we can discuss this, and we're getting out on a limb where we don't know anymore, but we know that all organs, they have a resonance. All cells have resonance. All molecules have a resonance electromagnetically and sound. So many of the frequencies are helping the body to communicate better. So it's not just us on the outside, because I don't see us on the outside. If you go inside, you go outside. If you go outside, you go inside. It's just like some people say, oh, if I run a very high frequency, it must be very effective. Yes, just as effective as a very low frequency, because it's just two sides of the coin.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Wow. I'm a little bit speechless with this whole experience so far, but I do have a few other questions that I wanted to ask. You talk about our bodies as bioluminescent and that we're actually light. We're made of light, but our eyes are unable to see that light. We see it as the form that we are. And I've also been listening to a few other researchers and teachers talking about how we're actually generating the light from within constantly. And I also read this study that talked about at the moment of conception in a petri dish for IVF, they noticed that the viability of an embryo was measured by the brighter the flash of light, the moment of the sperm and the egg meeting. And so this light, can you speak a little bit more to this light and how we're generating this light and the importance of this?
Yeah. Well, when there is a movement of charge, we normally call it electromagnetic. If you're a quantum physicist, you might use different words, but to generalize and make it more simple, you can say that when there's a movement of charge, of polarity, plus minus, when there's a movement of electrons, movement of charge, you will generate a current if there is something to have a current in. There always is, because if it moves, there is a current. And then you generate a field. And this field is light. Period. So this means that it's not about you can't differentiate electricity from light, because electricity generates light. So your cells are charged, and because they are charged, there is electricity currents moving, and this then when there is a different state, when you in school in chemistry, you had all those rings around the atom of electrons, so-called. Now we know it doesn't look like that, but it doesn't matter. When this atoms meet and exchange energy, the energy level of one of the atoms are reduced or increased. And when this happens, it emits electrons, photons, quantums of energy. Photons are light. So every time anything happens in a living system, you emit light. And if your cell is diseased, it will emit very strong light and try to signal to the surrounding, hello, hello, I need help, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, everything emits light, and that's basic communication. And this light, as you know, If you are a salamander, you can see some parts of the infrared. Some other animals see different parts of the spectrum. We just see this part of the spectrum, you know? And as you said, so actually just outside the spectrum, it's just as light. It's simply we have different classes. So if you take, you know, Army, they use night vision. They see different parts of the spectrum. So it's just there, all is light. That's what it is.
Do you think
That's
we'll evolve? Do you think we'll evolve to be able to see it?
Yeah, why not? But you know, you should think about this, that there's many philosophical things. For example, the question of time. So if you look in the quantum physics and the physics and in the universe of what's happening, you always come around to there is no time. So why do we experience time? Well, my explanation is very simple. We have a nervous system that is capable of doing one thing at a time. If we were supposed to do all things at the time, we would simply crash. It's like you are a small computer giving the tasks of a supercomputer, and you just crash. It's go bananas. So we need time. We need to have one sequence thing after each other for this physical body to exist, to be here on Earth and train. You know, be in training how to create in a safe environment. Here we can only fuck up our own system. If you are on different levels, higher levels, where you influence the lights around the planets and in the universe, then you are in trouble if you didn't have good training. So that's how I see it. So the brain wouldn't work if we didn't have time. And if you saw everything there is to see all the time, I think very few of us would handle it. So
Yeah.
one little example. I was doing some meditation many years ago. I read a book by Jane Roberts called The Set Material. Many of you have probably read it. It's a little bit old now, but still is popular. And the first time I read it, I thought, well, it's an interesting book. It was channeling. And I read it like many other books. And a couple of days later, I thought, well, there is something about this book. I got to read it again. So I read it again. And then my brain started, seeing big connections. And I was in the evening doing some meditation. And when I was sitting there, I realized I could sense everything around my body just as well as inside my body. The next second, I filled the room. I said, oh, Jesus, I'm the room. And before I knew it, this was just expanding like this. And I was filling Earth, I was Earth. And I could feel all Earth. And then my brain said, oh, God, no, 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 no. But I didn't stop it, it was just out in the universe. And then it came back, So the experiencing the whole spectrum of frequency, the whole spectrum of experiences is not something you can do without being prepared for it. And I think this preparation will take generations. And we're probably not here then, I think. Because when they're just light, why should you run around this rudimentary stuff?
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I actually want to ask you a question that came up into the chat. I think it's a really great question. Somebody asked, it was from a little bit back. They said, is there a way to make all of this frequencies of communication? So example, Wi-Fi, radio waves, all of this stuff that's harmful to us. Do you think there's a possibility where we can start creating them in a way that are actually human friendly?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a great idea, and it's not the first time it's been thought. It's not the last time it's been thought, and it's simply stupid that they don't do it, because we're talking about 5G, right? So everybody's talking about 5G as it's something new, but in Russia, in the Eastern Europe, they used so-called millimeter wave technologies. I have a couple of apparatus of those too, and that are actually apparatus delivering frequencies in 30 to 70 gigahertz. Oh, that's the 5G area. So that's a high frequency 5G.
Right.
And they're using it for therapy for 20 years and treating millions of people with success. So obviously, the frequencies doesn't have to be harmful. but it's the way they modulate it, the way they pack it. They just doing. It's how a technical system can send it to another technical system. That's what they do. And the other part of it, people maybe say it's a conspiracy theory, but it's a fact. In the 1960s, the U.S. government, the U.S. military, the English government, English military, all of them, they knew, and the Russians, of course, because they were far ahead in electromagnetic waves. They knew that this could be a weapon. You could do mind control, you could influence people's health, and all that stuff. They knew it all the time. So it's not new, and they're trying to. But anyway, the question was, can we make them less harmful and beneficial? Yes, of course.
We just
They
need to
should do
change
it, and
who's
they
at
can
the
do it.
helm of the ship, who's making the decisions.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that I said it many times, and I still think it's valid, and that's two governing principles in the world. One is money and power. That governs our society and all countries. And then you have love. That's between us. It's between people, relationships. Unfortunately, the world is not governed by love. It's governed by money and power. So anything they do is they want to have money and control over you. And this, for example, there was in the beginning here in Norway, when they had internet, they had different types of channels to transport the communication. Internet is, by the way, that we're talking is a modulated frequency going through a cable, by the way. So they want to put fiber because it was super fast, super reliable, could not be hacked, no damage to anybody, just light passing through a fiber. But of course, it was too expensive, and they could do a lot more with wireless. So that's why we're doing it wireless.
Gotcha. I often say that my Meg Healy atmospheric programs are my defense system for those frequencies that are not so good for us. I like to keep it running in mind, so I have a little bit of defense.
Yeah, well, just one little thing about that when you say your defense, because I said there's a book everybody should read. It's Dr. Jerry Tennant, Healing is Voltage, because it's a very classical book explaining that all your cells have voltage. The battery must have charge, or you're sick. But the more charge you have, the stronger your field is, the less influenced you will be by outside fields. You see? So it's a good idea. What you're saying is that make sure you're strong and healthy, then you're less influenced. So electrosensitive people come to my clinic. I run a clinic for integrated medicine. And they tell me they're sensitive to this and sensitive to that. They tried all things and they're looking for new devices. But you need to fix the mineral and metal balance, because they are sensitive because they're out of balance. I mean, and you easily get out of balance if you are overexposed. But I mean, so the more you are in balance, the less you're influenced by the things outside.
Which is essentially what we're doing with the Deep Cycle Protocol.
Correct. And if your body don't work, you don't work, because that's where you are now.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. I want to bring it to the Deep Cycle Protocol a little bit for all of these people that are here. This is what we're setting up ourselves into. In the very first week of the protocol, one of the things that we observed is that the first week is all preparation and detox. So you mentioned that it's really important to get the lungs and the kidneys set up first, so that we can, and you talked about oxygen reduction potential. And oxygen reduction potential is something that comes up in the explanation of quite a few different programs, like Natural Cycle as well. I was wondering if you could share a few words about what exactly is oxygen reduction potential, to help people understand why it's so important to set up in this way. And also the pathways of detoxification are then open.
Yeah, we'll do one at a time, I think. When you say oxygen reduction potential, that's a very popular term when measuring the electric potential, the surplus of electrons in water. I don't use that term very much, but I'm talking about oxidation and reduction. And for those who don't know what it is, oxidative is as a molecule who wants to steal an electron from the other. and reduction, a molecule with an extra electron wants to give away an electron. So this is the foundation of our physical reality, is polarity, plus and minus. And in your cells, you have the ATP cycle, the energy conversion cycle, or the citric cycle, or different names on the same thing. And that's basically molecules giving away an electron, doing a process, taking an electron, doing a process, oxidation, reduction, oxidation, reduction, oxidation, reduction, blah, 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 blah. So when you drink hydrogen water, you fuel your body with extra electrons. When you have, when you breathe and you get a lot of oxygen, you will get a molecule that is capable of producing energy like a fire. You burn in the cells, you burn fuel, and you burn oxygen, and that create free radicals. That means molecules that want to steal, oxidative stress, we call it. It's a necessary thing to be alive. However, we don't want to have too much of it. So if you have toxins, if you go to the pharmacy, and you buy a so-called medicine, I say so-called because 90% of it is toxic, and they're oxidants. So it's stealing your potential, it's stealing the charge of your battery. So anybody who knows how a battery works, they know that when there's a surplus or minus of extra electrons, it has a charge. This is how our body is. So the more crap you put into your body, and the less you're in contact with nature and good water, the more it steals the electrons of your body, and you lose your charge. You discharge your battery. So detoxification is basically ensuring that your body can produce enough or convert enough energy, because we don't produce anything, convert enough energy without being interrupted or having thieves stealing it all the time. This is the main cause for detoxification, and heavy metals like mercury is major stealer. And one of the reasons mercury is one of the most toxic metals is because mercury blocks light in the cell. Since we're light machines, you don't want to have a light blocker. So was that an answer?
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Yeah, anyway, but shortly back to the protocol. So we have 2 kidneys and 2 lungs, obviously. And that the reason is because the kidneys and the lungs are the main control unit for keeping the potential of the body. The main control unit for pH, potential hydrogen, meaning the charge of the water in the body. So if the kidneys are struggling, the lungs have to overwork, and vice versa. So you have to get it working. When the kidneys and lungs are working well, you can expel the toxins, the acid, carbon dioxide from there. You can expel the urine acid from the kidneys and other toxins. And in this way, you increase the potential. It's charging the body. So it's a basic thing. We need to charge first, and we need to have the chargers working, because your mobile charger doesn't work. Your mobile only works for a day.
Right.
So much about oxidation and reduction.
Yeah, awesome. So I see a couple of people in the chat are asking more questions about the protocol itself, and we provided that video already. So I'm not going to go into more detail with that, because we have it all mapped out. We have a whole video from Jan where he literally goes through the whole thing. It's in your resources. So we're not going to double up the time on that. I do want to ask a couple questions that came up from the community. So you often mention that you're supposed to do the kidney and the breath of life until those systems are balanced. So exactly what you were just talking about, like operating really well, before moving on to the next programs. And some people were wondering, well, how do I know if I've got the right balance in my lung and my kidneys? And is following the protocol as it's mapped out for us going to be sufficient? Or should people that are more toxic maybe spend a bit more time working with the kidney and the lung program before moving deeper in?
Unless you have a very skilled therapist helping you out, it's very difficult to see yourself. But so we have to learn to trust our intuition and our gut feeling. And the thing is that if you are low, if you're really ill, you can be 100% sure the lung, kidneys are not working. That's for sure. So the first sign is that, how long should I be in this stage until you feel better?
Okay.
Because if
So
you
somebody's having strong detox.
Yeah, so you go back and do the sensitive program once or twice, give a couple of days rest, drink good water, vitamin C, doing other supportive detoxification protocols, soft detoxification, minerals, salts, electrolytes. Um, so basically the rule will be that until you feel a change, a shift, you are in a better place, you have more energy, things are working somewhat better, depending on if you're on a very low level, it's easier to know. If you're on a medium level, it's not that easy. Maybe you do it sometime. Then it's time to move on to the next program. But after some time, we are in a constant cycle of life. We are in a cycle every day, every week, every month, every year. I don't know if you noticed that around springtime, you have a tendency of feeling the same way. And before Christmas, I always feel more or less the same way. It's a little bit changed now, which makes me happy because Christmas used to be heavy. But anyway, so we are in cycles, and that means when you've been going through a process and you come to a place, let's say springtime, maybe it's a good time to go back to the basics and start with the kidney and the lungs, do the detoxification again, because life is like this. It's not going to be, I have a Healy, so it's going from here to here. No, it's going to be like this. But what we're trying to do is not to be down here. We want to be here in the middle of the frame, and try to lift it. The general wellness, the general energy, the general health. Just lift the line, but there will be ups and downs. That's life.
Okay, perfect. So really getting in touch with your own natural cycles is a big part of this.
Yeah.
Being more aware. And I think that naturally happens. So what we've set up is we have embodiment, so breath work, and you recommended doing breath in one of your videos. And we've got lots of support in there just to help get the gaze going inward and to become more aware of self. So
I'd
we'll
like to
share.
mention one thing about breath work and breathing. Because that everybody knows a lot about it, and it's very popular. And you have the breath work where you do very quick breathing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you do very, very, very quick breathing, which is now very popular. A lot of people teaching this breath work, which makes the body and the blood very alkaline.
Yeah.
This is not a good idea.
Yeah. The breath that I put in is a nice, deep, slow breath.
Yeah, because that type of breath, the breath work thing with rapid breath for half an hour, it's going to make you incredible alkaline. It can also give you bigger emotional releases, so that's fine. But if you have a disease in the body, it's not good, because when the blood is alkaline and there's too little carbon dioxide, the hemoglobin, the transporter of oxygen in the blood, cannot deliver oxygen to the tissue. So if you have cancer, you better be sure you have enough carbon dioxide in the blood. How can I do it? Breathing, holding the breath. I won't do it for long. and you produce carbon dioxide. When the carbon dioxide comes into the blood, you you give carbon to make bicarbonate, so regulate the pH. You use carbon so the body can expand the vessels, and you tell the hemoglobin to drop the oxygen in the tissue. So it's very, very important, and therefore people should be aware of this, that doing long periods of this type of breath work, where it's rapid breathing and making the blood very alkaline, is not advised, especially not for cancers. But slow breathing, holding the breath, it's a good thing. If you think you're going to have a heart attack, cardiac arrest, you know what the best thing you can do is to hold your breath. Hold your breath, hold your breath, hold your breath, hold your breath. When you can't do it anymore, you breathe. And the moment you breathe in, you flush the heart muscles with oxygen, and the cardiac issue might be over. But
Wow.
what people do is they breathe faster, they get scared, and and the faster you breathe, the more alkaline, the less oxygen into the tissue. Enough about breathing.
So you're saying that doing that faster breath over long periods of time is not what we want. The way that I set it up in the protocol, we start with long, slow, deep breath, just because that's the way I was taught. Like, don't go into the fast
Yeah,
breath.
that's the classical
Really
yoga breath.
breathe through the whole. Is it Is it okay to do it for short periods of time though? Would you say, like, just to
Well, I'm
bring
not sure.
it?
I think you're doing it when you say short period of time. Do you mean in like this half an hour, or do you mean this next week or weeks? What do you mean by short?
I mean more like in a Kundalini class, like 3 minutes or like just
Oh
maybe
yeah, 3 minutes.
20
I
or
don't see
50
any
breaths.
problem.
Like that's not
No,
gonna,
no,
I just
no,
wanted to,
no, no, no,
yeah.
no, no,
No,
no.
but like an
It's
hour of
the
it is not so great.
Yeah, it's not great, and especially if you do repeat it very often, which is tempting because I did it once in Germany, I remember, and I had a great release. I was crying my eyes out. All kind of stuff came out, and it felt great. After, and I thought this is marvelous. I have to get into it and teach it. And then, of course, I started to think about it and then digging into it. And then, you empty your body for carbon dioxide, so you cannot transport oxygen properly. So that's not advisable to do often or for a very long period of time. No. But of
Okay.
course, a small couple of minutes and then slow breathing, no problem.
Okay. I got a couple rapid fire questions for you.
Yeah.
Preference, the wristbands or the coil?
Well, the coil is the field, and the field is no stronger than the energy put into the coil. So the coil is quite. I would say let's say that. When you put the electrodes, I prefer sticky electrodes, proper electrodes or good metal. The wristbands is okay, but you have to wash it. You make this very clean and you make it wet just to make sure that it conducts well. But they have the direct impact goes through your body, and when it goes through your body, you make your own fields much more powerful.
Okay, and on the topic of those sticky pads, we had some people last time they were looking at the Chinese meridian lines of kidney and the lungs, and they were actually putting the sticky pads on the meridian lines. Do you recommend that, or do you recommend keeping it at the pulse point?
No, you can do that, but you should understand that when the current electricity always travels the shortest way. So it will go the shortest way from A to B, no matter the meridians or whatever you place it. So if you're lucky, it's going to pass through the meridian. If you're not so lucky, it's going to pass through some parts of the fascia or blood vessel and go to the other electrode.
Oh, and we
So
have those 5 different pathways, so it's going to get you no matter what.
that's the point. But it's a good thing, for example, that you can do. For example, if you place, sometimes you can place it on the lung terminals, I call it. It's the knock in the neck, and in front you have the digestive system. So if you look read a book from Tennant, you learn this very well. But it's you have a charging point for the digestive system in the lower back or a little bit up, just below the thorax, and then you have the coil in the front, which is your intestines. Sorry, where did we start? I just lost the thread.
I was talking about where placing the placement
Right,
of the
right,
sticky
right, right,
pads.
right, right.
Yeah.
So for example, I like a point called SP6, which is just above the ankle, 2 fingers above the ankle. And if you touch it on the inside of the bone and press it, it can maybe hurt a little bit. That's a crossing point of several interesting meridians, including the kidney and in spleen. And to my experience, if you place a good electrode directly on the point, the point is so close to the skin, it will pass through that meridian. And then you can, for example, if you have, let's say, 1 electrode in the neck and 1 electrode on this point, I'm used to having a timer where I could have 4 electrodes, so I have them in the cross. Then you can penetrate a lot of tissue. And the frequencies has the frequencies are prefer to travel through water, basically, because most of the frequencies from the Healy will travel through water. So if you put 1 electrode in this hand and this hand, you obviously go through a lot of water, and the water will inform the rest of the body. That's why you get the global effect from a local current. However, if you have a current there, you put a sticker there and the sticker here, you will have a local effect in that tissue. So you can move the electrons in the tissue. Then you get a direct tissue effect, if you know what I mean. So by placing the electrodes on different points, you can combine the effect of informing and charging the water with directly treating a specific tissue. So it's a little bit outside the Meridian system, but I have a plan also to come with a lecture about placing electrodes and how you can use it and what to treat and so forth.
Oh, we would love that. Please let us know when you do that.
Yeah.
Okay, what about pregnancy and what about breastfeeding?
Yeah, well, first of all, some people I know very well, they treated themselves during pregnancy, and the mother and the child were super happy both through the whole pregnancy and just after birth, and no problem whatsoever. However, there is probably in the manual, you should not use microcurrents when you're pregnant. So I'm not going to tell you you're going to use it, because that would be illegal. And especially I would say, if it's up to you, you can use it in the hands, but I wouldn't put an electrode on the stomach and one on the back. I wouldn't go put the current through the baby. And maybe I would be extra careful the first 3 or 4 months, because and also when you're breastfeeding, the thing is that there is more like 100 times more toxins in your breast milk than in the water, normal clean water. So of course, if you're going to detoxify, it's a good thing to do it before you're pregnant. If you are pregnant already, you should detoxify carefully, but you should still use some supplements, carefully selected supplements, to detoxify. And I don't see any problem starting with some frequency when you are breastfeeding, because the detoxification will mainly be going through the kidneys and liver and digestive system. But so lowering the toxins of the body will lower the toxins of the breast milk. So I think it's worthwhile doing it, but maybe not so intensive, and use supportive therapies.
Okay.
And one thing but not to do, is for example, microcurrents improve circulation. So if you are a heavy bleeder, you're having a menstruation, you don't place the electrodes on your stomach or abdomen to increase the potential of increased bleeding if you have a bleeding disorder or something like that. But most women, they can use it and they feel better, So, but that's some things to be aware of. Bleeding diseases, better circulation. Okay, I don't want better circulation. Everybody wants better circulation, but not if you have a bleeding disease.
And when you say take it easy, would using the coil be one way to be a little bit easier, or lower intensity, or slowing down the pace that you go through the protocol, or what is the main?
Slowing down the pace, lower intensity, and the coil. Again, I wouldn't put the coil on the stomach, because the pulse fields, they penetrate the body directly. They just pass through you. They don't stop. So the only thing we say a PEM field stops is because we cannot measure it anymore. At some point, you cannot measure it, but it will continue more or less forever.
Mm.
So that's why everything is connected. Everything outside is sending waves in, and we're sending waves out, and they're crossing, interfering, modulating each other. So it's a constant exchange.
Okay,
and I think there's a lot of questions there you can ask.
Yeah, there's so many, and I also just want to be respectful of your time. We're at the hour mark now. Are you okay to answer a couple more, or should we?
Yeah, we can do some practical questions.
Okay. One of the questions that came through our question portal was a few people are using Deep Cycle right now. And when you, in the protocol Natural Cycle, and in the protocol for Deep Cycle, it's recommended to not do other frequencies while doing the protocol. Would that include Natural Cycle as well? Or are these two programs, would they work well together? You said,
basically,
I think you use it like twice a week. Yeah.
Basically, the cycles from Nuno and I, we have the kind of similar mindset, so they don't crash. All right.
So it would be okay.
Yeah, but if you look at what the Deep Cycle does, and it's not to say that my programs are better than everybody or anything, but I see tons of programs of people making new programs, everything, and I know by myself, the Deep Cycle covers 90-95% of all the needs you have for frequency. You don't really need all those other programs. But I mean, be my guest. But if you're trying to follow a system, a protocol, it's a little bit difficult if you one thing does this and one thing does that. But the protocols from Nuno and I mean, natural cycle, deep cycle, gold cycle, they are close in thinking. So they're not colliding. There's no problem if you want to take a break from deep cycle and run one of those. But if you're trying to do, if you want to fix the kidneys, and I do this from time to time myself. My kidneys, they need service from time to time. I can choose by doing pure from Nuno, and I love Nuno, a good old friend, and I think he's very good. But I prefer my own deep cycle, kidney all, male.
Yeah, there's
So
another video, I'll post it in our circle, where he talks about the difference between the deep cycle and the gold cycle. It was another interview that you went into it. I'll put it in our circle so you don't have to repeat yourself. When people are choosing their intensity, I know that this is a really personal thing, but we've got a few people asking the question. Does it have to be that there's a current flowing, or if they want to use a lower intensity, can they just use like 15 or 20 without, how it says generated or current is generated, but it's not detected? Is that okay? Or do you want to use it once you've got it flowing?
well, first of all, in the beginning of the deep cycle programs, and most of the gold cycle programs as well, there is what we call a real time in lower frequencies. That's from 0 to 1,000 hertz. So you do a couple of rounds of this to, as we say, prepare the body. When the frequencies are low, that meaning below 1,000 or a couple of thousand hertz, and there is enough current, you can feel it. If the frequency is 100,000 hertz, you can make it as high as you will, but you will not feel anything. So the good point, the good time to adjust it is when you can feel it if you turn it up. So the general advice is you turn it up until you feel it, because it can be different from person to person. How is the hydration level? How is your electrolytes? Is your electrodes clean? Is your skin clean? Is it good connected? And when you feel a little bit current, you take it down a little bit until I'm not sure I feel it anymore. That's normally a perfect spot. So it doesn't matter if it's 10% or 30% when you're at this point, but there is no problem. Your question was if the Healy shows no connection mark. If it shows no connection mark in the beginning of the protocol, where the frequencies are low, because it cannot measure the real high frequencies, so then it will show it from time to time, even if there is a connection, you understand? So if it shows no connection over for a couple of minutes in the beginning of the protocol, I would turn it up or check the electrodes.
Okay. Yes. Very good. So one of the questions that came up last round, you've got the male and the female kidney programs, and I just did female because I'm a female. And I've listened to a couple of your videos where you talk about how in the male it's working with like testosterone and with the prostate, and in the female it's working with obviously the ovaries and more of the world that we need. But in the conversation in our threads, people are talking about it being yin and yang energies. And so what's your feel on that? Should people be sticking with their gender or with their sex, their biological sex, or should they work with that more intuitively as well?
Well, it's not so complicated. If you want to treat your prostate, you obviously would use the male version. If you want to treat your ovaries or taking care of the sexual organs of the female, you use the female version.
Yeah.
If you want to treat your kidneys, both will work fine. And some people ask me because they get in the resonance, they get run kidney all male and they're a female, and they say, oh, should I do it or should I not? General rule is that I would choose the protocols not from resonance, but from what I feel I need. And if I do the kidneys, I do the kidneys. And since I'm a male, I would normally prefer the male version because there are some benefits from the rest of my system besides the kidneys. But the main thing is the kidneys. However, explanation that some women keep on getting the male as a resonance suggestion could be they need more testosterone. So there is more focus on testosterone in the male program than the female program. And there is also hormone balancing there. So okay, no harm. You can't harm yourself running it, but the system will have less frequencies for for females in the male program. So yeah, basically I would no harm, but I would primarily stick to my gender.
Yes.
Biological
Okay.
gender.
That's helpful. And then I think I covered most of the main, okay. I think I covered most of the main questions that were being asked. I have one final question for you, and that is, do you have any words of wisdom or anything that you have been thinking about Deep Cycle, but you haven't really shared in these public calls that you would like to share with us, or just some great advice to send us on our way?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think one thing is to be aware of that in the clinical practice, I made the Deep Cycle, right? So I made the programs, and let's say I was going to treat you or somebody in the clinic with a time weaver, doing a machine, doing it manually, and then I treat the kidneys, and I basically use the same frequencies as in the Deep Cycle kidney program. The strange thing is when I do it to somebody, they might feel the effects for 3 or 4 days. Somebody will have a strong detox reaction, or they will have some emotional changes, or they often can feel it. I cannot treat them every day this way. But if I send them home with them, with the Healy, with the presumably more or less the same frequencies, they can do it every day and several times a day without any issues. How can this be? Because we're delivering basically the same thing. Well, my influence of my presence, my consciousness, my intention to help is influencing the frequency, is modulating the frequency. This I cannot prove, but I've seen it through 15 years, thousands of times. It's the same thing every time. And that's why people still come to me, because we can do things in the clinic. I also have a lot of different apparatus, but that's one of the things. I can do things, and you can do it too. So when you treat yourself, the intention of, people say, oh, can I put on the Healy while I drive the car, use the mobile, watch a movie, and so on? Yeah, sure, you can do it, but more effective if you take time to rest, and you have an intention of what you want to do. You follow the intention of the application, because you're going to influence it. This is one thing we learned. And another thing which is worthwhile mentioning is that we don't know how much, but we know that your emotions influence your life tremendously, how you feel. And if you could see it, I use an apparatus called BioWell. BioWell can measure the let's say the electric charge around your body. So it shows your body field. And if I take a person that doesn't use the Healy, haven't got any treatment, and have some issues, most people have, I measure it, the field is uneven, and there is very high activity in somewhere, low otherwhere, and it's a little bit out of balance, some balance, but out of balance. I treat them, and you can do it, you can measure it also. If you treat one day with the Healy, first you measure, treat with the Healy, you measure next morning, your field will look very balanced. So all the programs will provide you of an electromagnetic balance, and electromagnetic balance is influencing your emotions to be more balanced. So people have told me, for example, I treated a couple of years ago a woman with serious cancer, spreads everywhere and so forth. And I treated her for a month. Officially, we don't treat cancer, of course. Or, sorry, I don't treat cancer, I treat people. So anyway, after a month, I said, how are you doing, And she said, well, I don't know, but for the first time in many years, I'm not afraid. So by using the frequencies and the Deep Cycle programs, you very often will feel that some things comes up and resolves. All the emotions can just resolve without going to a therapist. Please do if you feel like it, but emotions can resolve, and you can be more emotional balanced, because the emotions are stored in the body as electric patterns. So if you have anxiety or sexual issues, it's connected to your kidney system. So then treat your kidneys. You see, so the emotions you can treat from the emotional aspect. Yeah.
I love that. When I did this protocol the first time, it was about 6 weeks after my mother had died. And I was in the deepest grief I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I found this protocol to be so incredibly supportive. And when I was doing Go to the Roots, I was journaling every day. When I was doing Go to the Roots, I was having like a really clear inner dialogue with different ages of myself, like my inner child and different emotional expressions. And I think I got to know myself more through the process of doing Deep Cycle at that time than any other time, like an intimate knowing of all the different versions of me that live inside of me that play out at different times, and all of those different emotional things that I was going. I mean, it was huge. I've never experienced that.
Mhm.
I feel like I healed on a level that all the work I've ever done could never touch into at that depth. Like it was amazing. My emotional harmonization, my emotional intelligence, I feel really grew through this. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
excited
believe
to
it.
do it
And
again now that I'm not in that state.
yeah, I believe, I of course, acknowledge, and I think you're absolutely right. And the thing is, as I often say, that you cannot deal with emotions that are heavy to you if your body and your system is all out of balance. Because then you only want to protect yourself. I don't want any more. Just give me peace. I just want to have a good day. I just don't want anything. I don't want anything more. Don't make me do this, you know? And then you get the balance effect from the deep cycles. And over a little time, it doesn't need to be a very long time. Um, you just are more in balance. Your system is more in balance, and you're capable of dealing with these emotions, and you can take them up. And another last tip on that point is that I learned it from Tennant, by the way, Jerry Tennant, Healing is Voltage, Dr. Jerry Tennant. That if you have emotional trauma and you are aware of it, you know you have it, you know what it's from, you know what it is. You do Back to the Roots. Is that the name of the program now? I used to,
Go
it
to the
used
roots.
Go to the Roots, because originally it's called Healing of Causes, but we couldn't use the word healing, so they changed it to something with the roots. But Healing of Causes is the original name, and that's the original
Healing our
thinking.
what? Sorry?
Healing of Causes.
Of causes. Healing all causes.
Causes. The reason. um, so if you know about the trauma, and you are capable of facing it, I mean, visualizing it, thinking about it, sticking to it, try doing Back to the Roots. Is it? Yeah. Back to the
Yeah.
Roots. Try doing Back to the Roots. And when your mind starts to slip off it, you say, no, 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 no. I'm not going away from this pain. I'm sticking here. I'm going to stay here. And you try it one time. You will see that after 5-10 minutes, your mind, it starts to get blurry. You cannot really hold on to this trauma. And you say, no, 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 no. I'm going to hold on to the trauma. Or if you're scared, I have anxiety. Okay, I'm going to stick with this anxiety. I'm not going to run away from it. I accept it. I'm afraid. Give it to me, you know? And at some point, you cannot imagine it anymore. It's gone. Why is it gone? Because you dissolve the pattern. So
Yes.
you activate the pattern and you run the current through it, because the pattern is electric, and you can release it. So you can actually have a 10 years psychotherapy in 1 hour. It doesn't happen to everybody every time, but absolutely possible.
I I experienced that. I totally experienced that. Thank you for bringing that in. I think that everybody's really excited to get going. We are quite a bit over time. I know this is the evening for you. Thank you so, so much for coming in and communicating and sharing all of your wisdom. Well, this is like this much of your wisdom, I'm sure, compared to the vast library of wisdom you carry. There was one question that I just wanted to ask. You have a hydrogen water bottle on your website. Do you ship to Canada and the US?
Yeah, we ship everywhere, and quite honestly, the store is not super, and it's old now, so we're renewing it. We're going to have a new Shopify in a month or so, but it
Okay.
works. And if you want to order something there, be aware of two things: use a PC or Mac. The mobile GUI is not so good, and the pricing you will see is included local VAT. So it
Okay.
means when you log in or generate an account and you ship to the US, when you go to the checkout, you will see that, oh, it's 25% cheaper. I don't understand. So you just have to keep in mind that there's local tax showing. In the next store, we'll show you the net price.
Okay.
Because in the US, you don't have VAT. So maybe you have a small handling fee from DHL, but you will have nothing. In UK, you will have to pay VAT, but okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so, so much. It is such a joy to have you here, and you're free to go. I'm going to quickly, for everybody that's still on the call, I want to show you the circle space because there's a lot of questions and not everybody's in there yet. And I spent a lot of time making it super, super organized. And the same questions are coming up over and over again, and they're literally addressed in the first 3 things in Circle. So I'll put his website in Circle as well. Jan, thank you so much. You are
You're
just
welcome.
such a gift to the world. We appreciate you more than anything. And maybe we'll give you a little update on how we go with this.
Hopefully. Take care, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm going to share where am I here? Here we go. Okay. So if you have not got the Circle Space yet, we've dropped it into the thread on WhatsApp. And this is absolutely amazing. It's a community powered course. It's going to help us stay super, super organized. We have all kinds of other things. If you are in the frequency family or the freedom frequency lineage, you have access to this whole thing. Although the link that I created is just to Deep Cycle and the upcoming events in order to have simplicity. If you want access to the whole thing, just let your upline know or let us know, and we can get you the full access. When you go into the course, so it's on the left-hand side here, we've got the Deep Cycle H group protocol. When you go into the course, it looks, oh, wait, I'm just going to go back. I'm sorry. Here we go. So I have it all mapped out. You'll see all this first section is setting us up. I just added the resource vault because I noticed that there's some resources that are coming in and we're going to want a place to put them. And so instead of scattering them throughout the protocol, I'm going to put everything into that resource vault. So we have all the books that Jan just mentioned and all the different things that come up, we'll pop them in there. The way that I set this up is that it will open because we start on a Thursday. So this coming Thursday is day 1. I'll open it up 1 week at a time on the Wednesday before. So it's locked for now. But part of the reason I did that is because some of the embodiment work I don't have yet. It's coming. They know when their due date is, but it helps me to stay organized on my side, but it also helps to reduce the clutter. Okay. When you go into the lessons, we have 2 different things over here. You've got the lessons all listed out on this side, and you can click back and forth between the lessons with ease all the way through. But we also have a comment section. And what's nice about this is that the comment section is specific to the lesson. And so in the WhatsApp group, that starts to get really disorganized. People end up on different days, and then the comments get all confusing. If we're putting the comments into the comment section in here, then we'll at least be commenting on the same days. I personally get every single comment in my notifications. However, you won't. If you're talking to somebody, it's very similar to all the other social media platforms. You can tag people or use @ to notify people. You can tag events. You can tag lessons. If somebody's like, what's this? You could tag a lesson by using a hashtag and then starting to write the title of the lesson, which you can find here. And it will link the lesson right in there. You can also upload images and GIFs. You can use emojis. You can have, like, within the text, within the comment thread, pardon me, I just closed that by mistake. You can reply to specific comments. So it's really, really, really organized. And I would love for you guys to use that. The other space that we have is the upcoming events. In the upcoming events, we have the calls in here. And this is really great. When you click on the event, it has the link is right in there. You can add it to your calendar, which will sync it to your phone. And that way we're never searching for links. We've got them. You know what's coming. And all of the replays are going to be organized into the event. And I've listed those out in there so you see where they're going to be as we go. One other thing that's really great about this is that everything can be in one place. As well, let's say you came back, sorry, this is the moderator, you won't see that view. Let's say you came back to do this, we all have this tool now. we could do other group protocols and just pop it right back in here and come back to it. If, let's say, you wanted to go back and you could see the comments that you made in a previous round, you've got that round there. And with anything, because we're working with the lunar cycle, when you work with the lunar cycle, every teacher of astrology or lunar wisdom will always say, watch yourself through a lunar cycle like 3 times. If you want to understand your own natural cycles, you want to understand how the moon is affecting you, you want to observe yourself through a lunar cycle at least 3 times. And so for many of us, this is our second time. Well, I mean, I think there was 133. This is our second time. It's really great to be able to go back and see how it was for you last time and see how you grew. And you can do that in your own journal, but we can also use that. Okay. You can be part of the protocol through Circle. You don't have to use WhatsApp at all if you don't want to. Personally, I find WhatsApp really chaotic. That's one of the reasons why we brought it into Circle. And it also keeps the comments on the days. And I wanted to show you this one other thing. As long as you, where's Deep Cycle? At the bottom of every lesson, there is a button that says, I'll undo it for a second, complete lesson. If you tap complete lesson, when you come back into the protocol, you're going to come back exactly on the day that you left. Okay. So you can mark your spot. And just to give you a little sneak peek, I'm just going to go into edit lesson. I'll take you into day 1 so you can see the value of this. So it will look like this. So we've got reminder to drink water. We've got the program sensitive. It tells you a little bit about what the program is about. Sometimes I offer a question for self-inquiry, like this one: how can I reduce my Wi-Fi and EMF exposure? Personally, I'm going to put a timer on my Wi-Fi in my house. So it shuts off on a timer at night, just like you would do for your lights. If you're out traveling and you want it to look like somebody's home, you can do that with your Wi-Fi router. Okay. Anyways, an intention, these intentions, they came from Jan. And then also any little notes when I've been researching this thing, I just added it in here. So you'll see notes from his videos and from different interviews from Jan directly. Okay. Then we also have embodiment practices in here. So I make some suggestions that are more just awareness embodiment, but then also we have different practices. So this is the Capricorn Astro Nidra. It's bone deep listening. For the Astro Nidras, you're just going to lay down, close your eyes, maybe put a blanket over your eyes or an eye pillow over your eyes and enjoy the practice. You can do it while you're doing the protocol or not. And then I also included some Astro insights. So there's not embodiment and Astro on every single day, but there is something extra every day. And what I decided to do for the Astro Insights is I'm talking about the lunar cycle, and I'm going to talk about the lunar cycle through the lens of both astrology, but also through Healy, through frequency, through Marcus's teachings, through Nuno's teachings, and through Jan's teachings. And so that also will be evergreen if you're choosing to do this protocol with the lunar cycle. And then finally, a last minute addition that I decided to do because Circle is new for so many people is at the bottom of some of the lessons, I have Circle tips. So you can go in and you can personalize your Circle. Oh, spelling error. Final edit is happening today. You can go in, you can personalize your notifications, you can do all kinds of things. And what I love about Circle for the personalization is a lot of times people are like, oh, I wish I knew your Instagram. Well, if you go in here, I'll just tap on mine, view my profile. I've got my email. You can choose whether your email address is accessible or not. I've got my Instagram. I've got my website. I've got a little piece about me. I have a picture. There's a lot of potential that we can do with this as a platform for our community. For example, we could have tags where we put our ranks. Like maybe we have ranks for VPs, directors, executive directors, senior director. We have all kinds of things that just help us to knit together a little closer as a community. So the link for this is currently in it's in the WhatsApp thread, and I'm going to make sure that we have the link in the follow-up email with the replay if you're on the frequency family or the freedom frequency as well. But please come into Circle. I know that in the past we've had some little bit clunky Circle experiences, but it's just because it wasn't set up right. I promise you, you're going to love this Circle experience. I've spent lots of time. I've done courses in Circle. It is absolutely phenomenal. So give it a chance. Come on, explore. Let's see the power of this platform. One of the intentions of the creators of Circle is to create a platform that you don't actually need a leader to lead if it's set up properly. It's a community powered course. And so in the same way that Meta and Olive initiated this, they're not big leaders in Healy. They were just like, Olive was like, hey, I want to do this. And then Meta was like, let's do it. I did it once. Let's do it again. And then now here we are, this giant group of people. This is possible to be doing, and we can be supported through these tools in so many different ways. And so please come try it out. And what I'm doing along the way is, as there's commonly asked questions, I'm just putting it in there. Okay. The Circle setup before this is the Freedom Frequency specifically is where we're hosting this, is the Freedom Frequency Circle. Make sure that you're using the same login as you use in any Circle community, because on the side of the Circle community, there is a toggle. And so some of you are in the frequency family circle. And look, I just click over right here, or frequency shift, pardon me, circle. And I just click on there, and all of a sudden here I am in the frequency shift. In my team, I've got my team in Circle. Here we go. I just click a tune, and we've got my team in here. We want to go back over to the Freedom Frequency. I just click that, and I've got here. And so this is another one of the really powerful things about using Circle, is that I know that there's other teams in our community that are using this, and we can just pop back and forth between them with ease, right? And then I'm part of other Circle communities as well, and I just love it. I find it to be one of the greatest platforms I've ever come across for community and coursework. Okay. I adore all of you. Meta, I feel like we've gone over so much. Do you still want to do your invitation, or I think the invitation's there. Come in and join us in the Deep Cycle.
I would love to speak.
Yeah.
I would love to speak if you don't mind.
I'm just going to finish my thought and then I'll pass it over to you. So if anybody here doesn't have a Healy yet, you can order your Healy today. Ask the person who you ordered it, or who brought you here. You can order your Healy today and it will arrive on time, and you can start with the Deep Cycle. And one other thing is, if somebody doesn't have the Resonance Plus or the Pro, you can add the Deep Cycle as a subscription for the month. So if you have a gold or a resonance or a different model, you just go into into the store, sign in, and then find the subscriptions, and it's right there. Okay. And Amy, I'm not going to talk about coffee or not. It's listed in there. It's in there. So just read the thing. Okay. Thank you, Meta. I'm done now.
Thank you so much, Jana, for all this beautiful call, and thank you, Jan, for his wisdom and all of that. And Jana, you have this talent of taking complicated things and digesting it, and after that spitting it out to us, so that way it's easy to understand. And so my name is Meta, and I will be guiding you through this protocol. Last September, I decided to do this protocol, and I had the idea. I created a WhatsApp group, and I was like, oh, maybe 1 or 2 people will be doing it with me. And we ended up over 100 people. And this time, Olive asked in our group chat, she's like, what is go to the roots? I keep having that in my res scan, like deep cycle. And I was like, oh, let's do deep cycle. Let's do it all together again. And then Jana jumped in, and then now it's all like 800 people. So here we are. And if you're a guest here, you're welcome. and reach out to the person who invited you and get your Healy if you feel called to do it. And if you already have your Healy, let's dive deep and let's transform the world. So I have written a little part because I didn't want to miss anything. So my goal by leading this journey is to bring humans together and to unify us all as one big family so we can impact the whole world. By doing this protocol together, we will clear all the energies and frequencies that are not in alignment with nature and the whole. Moving from me to we will create, hopefully, a frequency earthquake of love and peace for the whole world. I would like to say it in Spanish for our beautiful Latin Spanish-speaking community. Mi objetivo al liderar este viaje es unir a los humanos y unificarnos a todos como una gran familia para que podamos impactar al mundo entero. Al hacer este protocolo juntos, limpiaremos todas las energías y frecuencias que no están alienadas con la naturaleza y el todo. Pasando de mí a nosotros, crearemos con suerte un terremoto de frecuencia de amor y paz para el mundo entero. En français, mon objectif en menant ce voyage est de rassembler les humains et de nous unifier tous comme une grande famille afin que nous puissions avoir un impact sur le monde entier. En faisant ce protocole ensemble, nous éliminerons toutes les énergies et fréquences qui ne sont pas en alignement avec la nature et le tout. En passant de moi à nous, nous créerons, espérons-le, un tremblement de terre de fréquences d'amour et de paix pour le monde entier. So it was important for me to bring this in the 3 languages because all those languages are really included in this entire protocol. And I don't want anybody to feel left out ever because of language, because the language of the heart is the most important one, and we all speak it. So let's all connect and let's go through this beautiful protocol, this deep transformation cycle, and let's all connect and reconnect because we are all energetic beings and we're all connected, but unfortunately sometimes we can feel disconnected from the whole and even from herself. So this 28 days is to reconnect us with ourselves and with the whole so we can impact the world. Thank you so much for everyone who is here, and let's do this. Let's have fun.
Thank you so much, Meta. Always heart. Always heart. What a gift. All right, y'all. We'll see you at the opening ceremony Thursday. Same team call time again, same link. And again, it'll be in there. Meta, your heart is so beautiful. Thank you for your vulnerability, your thoughtfulness, and your love. Mwah! Thank you to this amazing community.
I love you.
Bye. See you soon.